just finished my monthly women's improvement call, and this month's topic was how to embrace your feminine energy. You know, it's so important to understand that we all have feminine and masculine energy, but it's finding the balance between the two. Some of us naturally have occupations that require us to be masculine in our 9 to 5, or we were raised in environments where the masculine energy was dominated and we were conditioned to function in our masculine energy. But if you've ever thought about how you can be more feminine, how you can tap into your feminine energy, what exactly is feminine energy, then I want to share just a few takeaways that I had from our call this evening so that you can work on your feminine journey and make sure that you stay true and authentic to yourself, but then also be mindful of how you can switch between the two energies. So the first takeaway that I had, and one of the most important tips to tap into your feminine energy, is self-care. It is so important to pour into yourself every single day. We show others how to treat us. So if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not pouring into yourself, how can you expect someone else to do the same for you? We teach people how to treat us and how to respect us. So make sure that you have the time and you're intentional about self-care every day. That can be anywhere between 15 minutes to an hour. And if you don't have an hour, just take 15 minutes to pour into yourself. But tapping into that feminine energy, resting into your feminine energy, it requires self-care. The next item is having a growth mindset. It is so important to have a growth mindset. You know, some people like to say, it is what it is. I am the way I am. I'm not going to change. That's a very closed mindset. And we have to be open to feedback from our friends, our family. If you're hearing specific feedback about the way you are, don't be so closed-minded and thinking that you can't change. It's always an opportunity to grow. So don't look at it specifically as someone's trying to change you, but it is an opportunity to grow and make some adjustments to your communication style, your interactions with people, how you carry yourself. So have a growth mindset and be open to that. That's 2. So the third item would be communication. This is huge. You know, communication is not just for the other person, but it's for you as well. You know, when you interact with people, how do you respond to folks that are trying to help you? Do you listen? Are you quick to respond without listening? You know, you're so focused on your reply or being right. Are you combative? Are you defensive? So when you think about your communication style, it is so important to take an overall look. You know, what's your tone like? Are you loud? Are you aggressive in your approach? Are these things that you've heard from others and you basically have, you know, pushed it off to the side because you don't believe that it is, you don't have that growth mindset, but you've heard it more than once? That's a trend. That's a pattern. So communication is so important. Look at your tone. You know, we have different tones when we speak to different people. I may have a certain tone with my mom, my sister, my coworkers, to someone at the restaurant, at, you know, the grocery store. But it's so important to think about how you can be more of an effective communicator. How can you have a softer tone? If you're hearing feedback about you being aggressive, is it because the way you're responding? Are you not listening? Are you cutting people off? Are you a person that's quick to curse individuals out? Do you get irritated when you talk to people, or you know, do you cut folks off? So think about your communication, being intentional how you interact with others. And that can be men and women, especially men. You know, when we interact with them, I'm single. And when you think about meeting new men or dating, like, the communication is so important. Even if you're married, on the call, someone talked about, you know, just the aha moment that they had. But any person that we interact with, we want to be mindful of our communication. Yes, it's for the other person, but it's also for yourself. Because when you become combative, if you are someone who gets irritated in your communication and you are aggressive, you're taking yourself outside of that soft energy, that peaceful energy. So you really, really want to look at your communication if you receive any feedback, and how can you tone it down? How can you slow down your talking? If you're loud, if that's your personality, it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative, but is there a time and a place and a way for you to adjust that? You know, one of the individuals, the participants on the call, talked about, like, knowing that their family is just naturally loud. that doesn't make it okay. And that doesn't make it appropriate in all settings. So you definitely want to self-reflect and evaluate and see if there's anything that you need to adjust. And, one thing I will say, and I should have said this at the beginning, have an open mind to this conversation and this thought. It's not so much trying to change you, but it's trying to help you really tap into a softer side of yourself. And all of these things truly can help you. And it's not for the other person, it's for you and how you function. So that's number 3, communication. So we have self-care, having a growth mindset, communication. And then the 4th item is soften your spirit. Okay. Are you a person who has received feedback that you're hard, you're tough, you're mean? And I'm going to be completely honest and transparent. I've been called mean in the past. And, it's funny. I love to smile. And some people will call me smiley. And then I have other people say that you're not approachable and you're mean. And some of that is because I'm an introvert. So I'm naturally quiet when I meet new people. But do you need to soften your spirit? Do you need to forgive yourself for past mistakes? Do you need to forgive others? Are you holding on to a grudge? And the forgiveness for them and releasing that grudge is not even about them. Forgiveness is for yourself. So give yourself that opportunity to release that negative energy, that anger that you're holding on to, that is putting you in a place where you respond to other people negatively, where your spirit isn't right and you can't flourish into the person that you want to be. I also would encourage you to pray. Pray that God softens your heart and allow you to forgive. Allow you to forgive yourself, to forgive others, to release that grudge that you may be holding on to, because it truly takes you out of that feminine energy, that softer side of yourself, and it creates that masculine energy. So definitely think about the softening your spirit. It's so important. The next thing is, your environment. And the environment is not just like actual physical environment or where you are, but the people you're around. Do you hang around people who naturally have a soft spirit, who communicate the way that you want to communicate, who is receptive to feedback? Do they have that growth mindset? Then also thinking about actual environments, places that you go. Does it match your energy, or are you going just to go? Is it match where you want to be at the end of this feminine journey, which I think it's an ongoing journey, but when you think about where you want to be, does that match where you want to be? And then also think about, what are you feeding your mind? What type of music do you listen to? What type of movies do you watch? What type of shows do you watch? What type of people do you follow on social media? And, I was telling one of my girlfriends, and I were talking about this, and I shared this on a call. Some people actually trauma bond with individuals on these shows. And if you're watching a show that's toxic and full of drama, and you've connected with some of the characters where you cheer on and root negative behaviors, that can be a form of trauma bonding. You don't even know that person, but based on what they've gone through, you are trauma bonding with them and you're rooting for them, which you don't want to and not saying you can't root for their growth, but it puts you in a position that you can almost stay stuck if you're trying to work through being softer, releasing some grudges and being more forgiving and compassionate and kind. So be mindful of what you listen to, what you watch, and who you're around. It's so important for your environment. So I just realized I gave you guys a little bit more. That was actually number 5. So the 6th item that I'm going to give you is have fun. Tap into your creative side. Feminine energy and femininity is all about creativity. That's a part of it, being creative. And one of the things that I did when we shut down in 2020 was painting. One of a Black-owned business out of actually North Carolina, she was selling the canvases where she had already outlined the drawing and was sending the entire paint kit with an apron. And I started doing that. I also will cook. I would try some recipes from YouTube. I get out and do different things, putting myself in areas that, or places that I would never thought I would, but tap into your creativity. Do something fun. Creativity can be gardening, cooking, baking, sewing, anything that makes you be creative in thought. It could also be something as simple as writing. Now, the last thing that I will end you with It's all of those items. And during our call, we had a lot more topics on ways to how to tap into your feminine energy. But with everything that I listed out, another thing that you really have to consider with, if you decide that you want to implement all of those things, but even thinking about your feminine energy in general, slowing down. You know, it seems like we are always in a rush, trying to get to the next place, trying to, tackle everything on our schedule. And a lot of times we're exhausted. We're not well rested. We may even look like it, because a part of feminine energy and the femininity is being invested in your appearance. But if you're not getting the proper rest and you're always on 100, then, you may look a little bit harder and more exhausted than you actually are, or it may be a reflection of how you feel. So with all things, the last thing I will say is slow down, enjoy the moment, enjoy this process. Is this something that you would like to do when it comes into embracing your feminine energy and your femininity and having that balance? Because we all have masculine energy, but finding that healthy balance between the two. So what are the 6 takeaways that I have that I wanted to share with you? Well, the first one was self-care. Self-care is so important. The next one is having a growth mindset, okay? You don't want to have this attitude or this thought process that I am who I am. I'm not going to change, and just be very closed-minded. The third one is communication. Yes, making sure that you are speaking, you're mindful of your tone. Are you loud? Are you an effective communicator? Are you a good listener? And are you responding in reacting to a trigger that's something that happened to you before? Next is being mindful of your environment. What are you listening to? What are you watching? Where are you going? Very important to make sure that you're aligning yourself in environments and places and people where you want to be. Softening your spirit is number 5. Okay, so important to soften your spirit and ask, pray that God would soften your heart and allow you to forgive yourself, forgive others, and also release those grudges so you can sit into a softer side of yourself. And then the 6th item is have fun. Tap into your creative side. Don't be afraid to do things that are different and outside of your comfort zone. Even if you have to do it by yourself, that's even better. Don't be afraid to tap into your creativity. And then the bonus, which is number 7, but it's tied into all of those, it is slowing down. This is it's a marathon, not a sprint. And in life, sometimes we have to slow down. Sometimes we have to tell ourselves no. And sometimes we have to listen to our bodies and take a break. So I hope that you enjoy these several items that you can do to help you embrace your femininity, tap into your feminine energy, and things that can help you remain true and authentic to yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video, and drop down in the comments if there's anything that you're doing specifically to help you be more in tune with your feminine energy.